All right. Hello, everybody. I'm so glad to be back with you today. Trying to do at least daily YouTube videos for the next coming week. I am getting ready to make a move. I'm going to be moving my house. So, yes. If you're wondering if you should come online and hang out with me, the answer is yes. Yes, you should. Anyway, I'm getting ready to be making some moves in my current life, so hoping to get some extra YouTube stuff out now before I end up moving. I'm really excited because I'm going to be having a brand new studio, so that is coming through. And yes, I am totally in the middle of taking a leap. So if you are in the middle of taking a leap too, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. So today's chat, super simple. I was just hoping to kind of talk about some beginner Q&A stuff, some interesting little bits. Like I mentioned in my last video, I've joined Reddit and it has been enlightening to me because there's so many wonderful questions. I'm so excited to be able to see all of these. The cool thing about Reddit is that people aren't so much about, what do I look like? It's more about how you write and what you sound like. So people take a lot of time to really think about their comments, and I appreciate it. It is such an enriching experience. I love it over there. So anyway, I've heard a couple of, that's empty. I've heard and seen a couple of comments and responses and things that I don't really like, and well, that's everywhere, right? But I've also had this thing where I've seen a lot of really good questions. So somebody wondered earlier about astrology. Okay, as you know, if you've gone to my website findyourdivinity.com, you can check out the newsletters, and that is just a one-page thing right now. Excuse me. Because I just started it this month. And so next month we'll be having a March astrology. But what it is basically I've laid out the planetary events for all of February and kind of explain how they relate to us and how we relate to them. So if you're interested, please check that out. But the question was how do you get into all of this? How do you break into astrology, as it were? And I think that it's a really great question because how do you? If you take a look at astrology as a whole, it's one of these things that's very convoluted, kind of. It's almost its own language, and that's what I was trying to explain to this person and why I got the idea that I would make a video about it. Because I think that a lot of people are afraid to approach astrology in much the same way that they're afraid to approach witchcraft. Why do I say that? Well, because there's so much information out there that it's basically impossible to really root through it all and feel like you've read it all, feel like you've completed that thing. With astrology especially, it's got its own lexicon. There's a whole language that comes with astrology. And so for a lot of people, when you're just interested and you're like, okay, I don't want to get in there. I don't want to tell people what their astrology is, but I want to read about mine and I want to learn what these things are. When you get into those groups and people start talking about, a Chiron node or your Lilith or what you're rising, all of these things. Hi, Retrex. When that person comes through and they start talking about these things, the very beginner, the person who's I like astrology, I feel drawn to this, I really want to learn about it, they read that message, which for everybody else who's seasoned even a little bit in astrology, it makes sense what that person is saying. But for the person without the knowledge of the verbiage used in astrology, it's this, you're speaking Greek. What? What? I want to know. And then they also feel like, I can't ask. I shouldn't be asking this question because I should know this answer, or I don't want to ask this question because probably a billion other people have already asked this question, and why don't I know it? It's like a whole thing. So there's this whole judgment element that comes from not knowing and feeling like you can't ask. So that makes it this occult science, right? It's this hidden science and only certain people know about. And I hate all of that jazz. So I have some suggestions Again, I can see that a couple of you guys have tuned in. Thank you so much. My website, findyourdivinity.com. Appreciate it if you could go there. But also, this does say free readings. So I do have my deck here. If you guys have a question or something that you're particularly interested in, want to know, want to ask my cards, please feel free to put a comment into the comment section here. Disclaimer, I don't always read wonderfully. Hello, Scotimus. I don't always read the comments section religiously. I kind of get to talking about things. So you may have to wait a minute, but I promise that I'm watching. Okay. So again, for a beginner, what do you do? How do you break into that then? If you're afraid to ask anybody and you're afraid like there's too much going on, what do you do? Well, you have to learn the language. Okay. What do they say? They say that the best way to learn Spanish is to go live in Spain. It's the same idea. So if you are a beginner and you're wondering how to break into astrology, get yourself a book. Now, there's a book by Joanna Woolfolk. It's called The Only Astrology Book You'll Ever Need. I can tell you right now that that is not the only astrology book that you'll ever need or hopefully want, but it is an excellent resource for anybody who's beginning. I also take a lot of time and am very careful not to... I personally want to like see a book and feel a book before I buy a book, but I do buy a lot of my books on thrift books. And I feel like if you're going to go for a copy of this book, try and find one that you can pick up and actually feel and look at, because a lot of these astrology books have footnotes that the previous owner has kind of written in, and those can be absolutely enlightening. Okay. It can be really helpful to have somebody else's just little like idea in there to chew on while you're also reading this and thinking about it for yourself. So do that. But in the meantime, while you're waiting on this book to arrive, you should 100% be, get on Google Play, get on the Apple Store, wherever you are, okay, and download yourself some astrology apps. If you find one that you don't like, you're like, I don't know about this one, just delete it, get rid of it. There's 30,000 more of them out there. There's tons of them, okay? Now, the purpose of this is that these apps are likely going to be talking to you at least once, maybe twice, maybe even more than that a day. Hi, Connor's plan. So as they send you messages, as they are sending you these notifications, you're reading the notification, you're getting that word into your mind, you're beginning to learn a little bit more and more. It's a way for you to kind of organically break astrology down and continue to practice it daily without being like, I have to read this book, or I'm never going to learn astrology, okay? Really easy. Understand astrologers, the people who are great at this, have been doing this for decades. So this is not a shorthand path. You're not going to be like, oh, well, I'm going to sit down and read the only astrology book that I'll ever need, and I will never need an astrology book again. Wrong. Not how it works. It's a path, just like spirituality, Wicca, whatever you follow, okay? Just like those are paths of learning and of, inspiration. Astrology is the exact same thing. You have to learn the verbiage in order to be able to even start to interact. Then once you feel like you're kind of comfortable and you kind of know what these things mean, make sure that you do jump onto those groups, because it's important to get into the beginners groups, to ask those questions, because there are some people out there, you may be afraid to ask a question, but there are a lot of people who aren't, and you can learn a lot of questions or a lot of answers from questions that you never thought to ask, okay? So don't hesitate to get into those. Network, find somebody that you trust. Like I said, I'm planning on doing these monthly. So if you're interested, go ahead and subscribe to my RSS feed and you'll get updates when things get updated on the website. All right. Just fell down the stairs. Pretty sure she's game ended. What should I do? Your mom just fell down, or your nan. Your nan just fell down the stairs. Pretty sure she's game ended. Can I revive her? Okay. Respond, you witch. Okay, actually, I will respond. First of all, Scotimus, witch is spelled W-I-T-C-H. So you probably need to pick up the phone book, okay, call whichever emergency number it is that you happen to have wherever you're from. Let them know that you are in the middle of a mental breakdown and that you are suffering from troll-itis, okay? Please don't hesitate to let them know that you're probably also foaming at the mouth and suffering from a small cock. Blessings to you. All right. So that being said, and sorry for anybody who's here and had to witness that. Terrible people, aren't they? All right. Anybody here interested in a free reading that is not Mr. Scultimus Prime with his Nana that apparently he's too dumb to take care of? That's how you deal with the troll, my friends. Okay, so beginner witches. So you kind of are like, if you're interested in astrology, you can do that, but that's really the way to follow with anything that you're interested in, okay? I have a lot of beginner witches that come to me and they're also like, how do I learn to do this magic? How do I learn to do that magic? How do I learn this? How do I learn that? It's the same thing, okay? Every time that you break into one of these metaphysical sciences, you are finding yourself in a new lexicon, okay? You're finding yourself in a new verbiage that you have to learn to be able to really digest and kind of understand what's going on here, okay? For those of you Wiccans out there, if we are talking about the Wiccan Rede, you know very well what that is. But for a person who's just heard about Wicca, they may not know what the word Rede means, okay? They may not understand that this is a series of basic tenets, okay? They may not understand that there are rules of law and that there are ways and things that, and paths that are created by Wicca and rules of guidance for people, practitioners of Wicca to follow. So it's about learning those words, okay? So I see that we do have a couple more viewers here. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Another thing that I'm seeing from Reddit viewers is a lot of questions about like, do I have to have this ingredient? I don't have this ingredient. I don't have this thing. I don't have that thing. What do I do here? What do I do here? Here you go. The basis of magic is one's thought and one's intention. You don't have to have anything at all to do magic. You don't have to have anything at all to set the nastiest curse on someone that you can possibly lay. You don't have to have anything. All you have to have is your thought. If you've ever heard of the concept of the evil eye, okay, what this is basically, it's based on this idea that when something good happens to you, a person could be watching this good thing happen to you, and they could feel envy or jealousy or want something bad to happen to you. And even though they're not necessarily being mean to you or being like, oh, I wish bad things on you, their subconscious, when that state of envy and negativity, is somehow sending out a vibration that is attaching to you, that is affecting you negatively. Okay, that's the idea of the evil eye. Now, yes, you can send curses on people and you can direct curses through the eye with people, and that's kind of on the evil eye. But on the basis, the idea is that this exists around you everywhere, and so that's why people wear the symbol of the evil eye, right, to protect them from that casual interference. Because if your loved one brings you flowers or brings you a puppy or whatever on the street and they're like, oh my God, will you marry me? Okay. You being so wrapped up in that moment are like, oh my gosh, or no. But the person across the street may be feeling completely differently. They may be watching you going, I wish that somebody would just marry me. Oh, I wish that I'd been able to find, oh, how could she do that? How could she, or I'm so jealous. Why did they get married? Okay, it's this idea. You being in your situation have no idea that lady across the street even fucking exists, okay? And the idea of the evil eye is that ward is there to protect you from any evil that's coming, and especially meaning the things that you're not aware of. So very interesting. But that being said, because of like all of these energies that come and go, and this ability for us to kind of direct a thought and maybe not even necessarily mean to hurt a person, but it negatively affect them, okay? This thought series is magic, okay? It's what it is. You're honing a vibration, you're creating and manifesting something to evident in your reality, all right? And it may not be direct. If you had directly thought while you saw these people getting married, I hate you and I hope you get hit by a bus, something really bad may have happened to them, but because you're just like kind of jealous, it's just generalized negativity. Everybody does it. It goes around. It's a thing. Okay. Now, a lot of people work, especially Buddhists work, to purify their thoughts, to purify their actions, to purify that thought process so that they're not trying to lay anything like that on people. But overall, as far as humans go, we refuse to train our minds, and therefore our thoughts kind of flow and affect our realities. Okay. That being said, you don't need anything. You don't need a lighter. You don't need a card. You don't need a pin. You don't need a candle. You don't need anything to do magic. Okay? So I hope that this was helpful for people. We had that spammer there, and that's unfortunate. And it looks like we're not really getting any readings either today. So that's okay. I know that this is an odd time of day. I'm super excited to be here with you guys, though, whoever happened to watch this later on as the post live. And I will be back in the coming days to serve you guys up some more witchcraft. Thank you very much. Have a good one.